story. Right, once upon a time, back in my days, lad, I was back in 1970s, before 1970s, right, well, 72 I would say, right, but we'll tell you these wonderful stories because it's a granddad's duty to tell grandson all about my stories, well not stories as such, but history. Back in Grandad's days it was, right? So, it's I can barely remember, but, because I'm old, right? But, right, you're paying attention, aren't you, grandson? Yeah. It all started off back, like I said, the 70s, right? Yeah.
Way back in days, back in the days in bloody Yorkshire I was, Yorkshire is and Yorkshire it would. That's I will always remember, my dear grandson, that we had a system in Yorkshire and everywhere else, but Yorkshire is more specific, right? Because we have one of the most record-breaking highest tunnels in England, right? Not the world, but England, right? As such. But this is back in our days, if you might notice, all these long stretches of water. Because back in the old days that there were no such thing as articulated lorries or heavy good vehicles. Not even the common steam train wasn't really efficient because they hadn't built them or all that lot. But the best way to get anything heavy across anything was actually using horsepower and water. Water, because it makes everything a bit more easy and lighter. Anyhow, now how it works, you know, because it's Yorkshire voodoo or whatever. It's just how things work. Anyhow, as you've seen all my lovely, you know, amateur, you know, type of my imagination of looking at architecture of canals, because that's what they are. They've called these long stretches of water are called canals, and it's just flat, plain water, no current or anything, just floating about, and that makes it easier to have these great big things called barges. And you might notice there's a little footpath at each, well, one side, right? That's what bloody horses they pull it, because they didn't have engines whacked in them yet. Later on they did, they had steam engines in, but you don't have seen many of them kicking about. I think there's only maybe one in the UK still going. But anyhow, later on they put diesel engines in, and well, really, they don't go that fast. Anyhow, we're talking about Yorkshire, and the most dangerous is leaving Yorkshire, and that is between the Pennines of Lancashire and Yorkshire. And what they couldn't be bothered is like digging a big channel at it, you know, at it moors. So they thought, we just dig oil, right? So they dug oil from Yorkshire side, and Lancashire dug a tunnel at the other side, and they was hoping to meet in the middle, but they didn't, ish. So that's why that tunnel's got a bit of a funny S-bend in it, isn't it? But anyhow, they managed to patch it and get it linked together. You know, lad. You know, the strangest thing about Yorkshire, you know, steam trains became popular, so they had to build a bloody another tunnel, right, for train. And then they thought, oh, we need to put another tunnel in for trains going other way. And then somebody thought, wait on, why don't we make a bigger tunnel, what's still being used now, but both trains could go both directions, but it's just a bigger, you know, you'd be thinking they should have dug it all out, shouldn't you, or something? But oh no, we need mowers, because obviously we can't just build walls everywhere, you know, because that's what folk thought, you know, the great big Yorkshire wall or something. But you don't need to, because you got bogland, and especially with them creatures hiding in Yorkshire. We all well know about them Yorkshire dinosaur monsters and all that lot. Give folk the fear not to come, you know, invading us again. Well, hopefully they don't. But that's right, grandson, you know. It was terrifying to know about history, about a bunch of long-haired people what make Lego bricks, right? Came over to Yorkshire. I think they came up the canal with these fancy young canoe boats with sails on them, right? And they invaded our capital, you know. Not Leeds at the time, but it was York. Yeah, not New York, the old York, you know, because we're right. But yeah, grandson, right? Never mind, try not to scare you. Hope we don't get invaded by Lego again. You know, them Lego people, right? So, but history back to talking about Standedge Tunnel, right? It's about 3.5 miles long, right? And it goes all the way under the Pennine, straight to Lancashire. Now that was built for bloody mills, right? Because that's what we needed. You know, when we got advanced as humans, we needed more thicker clothes because it got more colder in Yorkshire, right? But, you know, you need material to make our flat caps and all that lot. You know, our standard uniform for being Yorkshire. So that's what we needed, you know, lad. It's like when we take you out for a walk, we always seen all these fire ducts and tunnels and, you know, all these bridges and all that lot. It's infrastructure back in the days with Yorkshire. And obviously, we had to survive, you know, the cold, we needed clothing. And obviously, we needed to create, you know, fish and chips as well, because we like our fish and chips. So we created a lot of, you know, reminders of mills, you know, with ponds, and so we can do our local fishing, you know, catch stuff with local wildlife, and, you know, hopefully we can have some nice battered fish later on for our tea, and that's how bad it was in our days. It was quite hard up, you know, for Yorkshire. I mean, they couldn't even actually afford to even create a museum for amusement of knowing about how they built this tunnel. Far as we know, it was just a little bit just like Minecrafting, right? All you do is get a little pickaxe and pick away, make a little hole, and all they did was fill it up with TNT and then detonate it. They always made sure they ran away very, very quick from it, like, but you know, that's what they did, huh? They blew it up like Minecraft, but this was done in real life. And far as I know, it was just a great big chisel, and a man held it, and another guy whacked it with a great big bloody sledgehammer. And that's how they made the little tiny holes for diamondite to go in, and, you know, and they blew it up. But Minecraft is a lot more safer, grandson. But you want to experience that great, you know, engineering they did. Even they both miss each other, but you know, even Lancashire people, you know, got involved. I know we talk about the great, you know, War of the Roses, but it's a very sore subject, especially when it comes to Valentine's Day, especially for us Yorkshire folk. If we're going out with some lady from another county or country, they're thinking, why are you not buying red roses? Because obviously, you know, it's a very iffy situation, grandson. But the thing is though, sooner or later, back in days, all the mills had to work together, and obviously they needed a canal to link them all, because water, right, flows, and it will push and force its way through, and that created the invention called the water wheel, what actually, funny enough, started generating later on electricity, believe it or not. And that's why they had to do this, to build these strange mills in really wet, soggy places where there's going to be rivers and all that lot. Far as Grandad knows, but there's no museums to tell me. I mean, obviously I'm too old to use the internet and, you know, use one of them fancy phone malarkeys and, you know, what I keep hearing in the background, but never mind. But I'm old. All I know is we need a good old museum, but people don't need that, and that's what I realised when I was on this car program, and we thought it would be a very good idea to actually convert a canal boat for a challenge, and especially with the history, our little grandson, because far as we know, the horses didn't go in the tunnel. They had to get some wee little young lad, right? And he got all the horses and he had a race against the canal boat, right? And they weren't allowed to like use engines and steam and all that. All they used was a plank of wood and two guys leaning on it, pushing with their bleeding feet, right? So it gave enough time for this lad to gather our horses and go over bloody moors, right? And it was all dark and scary and all that, you know, back in the days, you know, like you all stopping in and watching, you know, well, video gaming malarkey or whatever, you know, but no, you was in Arctic wilderness to bring bloody horses to bloody other side, you know. Because they didn't build another tunnel until railroad came and that, but they didn't put horses through it, but you know, they still do it now. But there, part of history of what Grandad thinks he knows. Alright, our little grandson. Yeah, and now I'll talk about me on that car program that we tried to involve Standedge Tunnel, right? But obviously it sort of fell through, but I'll witter on about that about another day with that. Alright, our little grandson. Yeah.
Goodbye.
Bye, have a great time.